today at 9:30. Rochelle and Dell.
All right, John Terrett, live for us in Norristown, Pennsylvania. John, thank you. Let's bring in Lolita Buckner Inniss. She's a former prosecutor and a professor at Cleveland Marshall College of Law, and we appreciate your time so much. So this alleged deal that happened between the prosecutor and Bill Cosby's team, do things like that happen? Is it common?
Well, in my experience as a former prosecutor, also as a defense attorney, and in my work studies, where I've studied these matters as a law professor, I think these things do happen. I think the general public might be surprised about the extent to which there are backroom deals or informal matters. But I think it's relatively rare that they would come to light or be part of a discussion such as this.
Yeah, why is it so difficult to get to the bottom of whether or not this deal actually happened?
Well, I think first and foremost, there was no writing. I think that for the most part, whether you're dealing with cases in Pennsylvania and throughout the United States, when there is some sort of agreement not to prosecute, that would certainly typically be in writing. I mean, I think that even non-lawyers would want to see something that clearly evidences such an agreement. I think also in a number of jurisdictions, to the extent there is such an agreement, that would have been something that would have been approved before a judge or a magistrate, and that does not appear to be the case here. So we are ultimately down to he said, she said, to the extent that we can understand about what happened.
So what are you looking for as a lawyer? Would you observe what's going to happen today in this pretrial hearing? What are you looking for?
Well, what I would be looking for from the point of view of the defense would be a really tight effort to keep this about the technical matters of whether or not there was, in fact, an agreement. I think for a number of lay people, they are wanting to get to the substance of the case. They are wanting to hear about whether or not these allegations are true. I think that it is really important for the defense to keep this focused on this technical pretrial matter. From the point of view of the prosecutor, I think that besides arguing that there is no agreement, I think the prosecutor will have to try to insist upon the fact that this is about the ability not just of Andrea Costand to have her day in court, because remember, this is a prosecution. This is an opportunity for the people to be heard. And I think that's what the prosecution has got to do. They've got to focus on the justice aspects of this.
So let's just assume for the sake of argument that the judge does not throw this out and this continues its way through the legal process. This particular trial, this particular case, can it have an effect on other lawsuits that Bill Cosby is facing?
Well, certainly technically and procedurally, this is a case that's happening in the state of Pennsylvania. So in terms of any rulings that come out of today's hearing, they would technically be limited to the state of Pennsylvania. However, I think as we all know, this is the sort of thing that would have a tremendous impact on judges throughout the country who hear this in the event that any such case will be brought before them. I think also the general public would be very strongly affected about the outcome in today's case. So technically a very narrow focus, but I think that this is far broader than what's happening in that Pennsylvania courtroom today.
All right, well said there. Lolita Buckner Inniss, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
We're finding out